Hallo und willkommen bei einer neuen Folge von DCS World mit der A-10C. In der heutigen Trainingsstunde befassen wir uns mit dem digitalen Storage Management System, den DSMS. Ja, fangen wir einfach mal direkt an. So, hallo, willkommen im Cockpit. In der heutigen Folge geht es wie gesagt um dieses digitale Storage Management System. Es wird eine sehr theorielastige und trockene Stunde werden. Mit viel Erklärung. Aber fangen wir einfach mal direkt an.
Welcome to the training lesson on the Digital Storage Management System, or DSMS, often pronounced DSMS. We'll conduct this lesson right here on the ramp, so I'm going to run the batteries and bring up some systems. DSMS is the primary interface between the pilot and payload.
Infield 1,
In the
passing
A-10C,
waypoint 2
weapon
at
profiles are used to
250.
select and configure the weapon of choice, so that you are not really selecting a weapon per se, but selecting a profile which has a weapon assigned. For example, you can create multiple profiles for a particular weapon to prepare from various tactical scenarios. DSMS allows you to create and customize up to 20 profiles, each saved under a unique name. Profiles can be cycled by DSMS controls on the MFCD, the select rocker on the UFC, or HOTAS controls when the HUD is sorted. A selected profile is called an active profile and is displayed on the bottom left corner of the HUD. DSMS includes the following pages: status page, inventory select page, selective jettison page, and missile control page. Some of these have additional subpages. The DTS upload page is now up. Press OSB 18 on the left MFCD to upload the DSMS data.
Wie bei allen Ladevorgängen, die man hier machen muss oder kann, erkennt man, dass der noch am Laden ist. Sobald man die Taste drückt, verschwinden diese Dots, sind die wieder da, das Ladeprogramm ist beendet. Und gibt es jetzt auch mit diesem Tutorial jetzt eine kleine Pause.
Okay, now let's select the DSMS page with OSB 14. You are now looking at the status page, which is the primary display of the DSMS. This page allows you to quickly view the following information: weapon inventory and status for each of the 11 stations, release settings for the active profile, gun status and ammunition remaining, EO power timer if Maverick is active. At the top of the display, OSB 1, 2, and 4 and 5 allow you to access the other pages of the display. Without pressing any buttons, take a moment to become familiar with the display. Press the spacebar key when you are ready to proceed.
Das ist jetzt wie gesagt die Anzeige. Das wird zwar jetzt im nächsten Punkt schon nochmal erklärt, ich sag's jetzt nochmal auf Deutsch schon mal vorab. Das ist die Ladestation. Insgesamt die 11, die wir haben. Und zwar von links beginnend mit der 1. Hier. Verläuft dann nach oben. Die 6 ist direkt unterm Rumpf. Und dann wieder runter bis zur 11. Bis nach ganz rechts. Das sind hier die M9, also die Seite-Raketen, die hier drüben sind.
Let's set the master arm to training mode. Right-click once to set the switch to train. The blue indication on the DSMS denotes training mode. White indicates master arm safe, and green indicates master arm armed. As you can see, stations 1 through 11 are displayed sequentially clockwise, starting from the bottom left corner. Each station box indicates the profile name, which usually corresponds to the designation of the loaded weapon and the quantity remaining. Depending on the weapon, additional information may be contained inside the box, such as the launcher configuration or weapon sensor status. In the bottom center of the display, the cannon data block indicates the ammunition type and amount remaining. The center of the display indicates the current HUD mode and additional details of an active profile when one is selected. Press the spacebar key to proceed.
Ich zeige jetzt noch mal kurz die verschiedenen Ladezustände. Das ist safe, grün ist geladen.
Starting with Station 1 on the left side of the aircraft, we are carrying the ALQ-131 ECM pod, an LAU-68 2.75-inch rocket pod with 7 training rounds loaded, an AGM-65D, a BRU-42 rack with 3 BDU-33 training bombs, and a GBU-38. Continuing to the right side, we have another GBU-38, another BRU-42 rack, an AGM-65K, the AN-AAQ-28 lighting pod, and the LAU-105 launcher loaded with 2 AIM-9Ms. We are also carrying 1,150 target practice rounds for the gun. Let's first cycle through the default profiles loaded from the DTS. To do this, we need to take the HUD out of Guns mode and into either CCIP or CCRP modes. Press the HOTAS Master Mode button or the M key on the keyboard once. We can now cycle the profiles using the Select Rocker key on the UFC. Alternatively, because the HUD is currently SOI, you can press the HOTAS DMS left or right commands or delete and page down on the keyboard. To see a list of all loaded profiles, let's enter the profile main page by pressing OSB 1. The profile main page presents a list of all loaded profiles. Press OSB 19 to designate the WTU rocket's profile with the pointing arrow. You can now move this profile up and down the list using OSB 6 and 7. Disable the profile with OSB 9 and activate the profile with OSB 17. However, let's instead press OSB 3 to enter the profile control page to view the settings of this profile.
Passing waypoint 4 at 1,600.
The profile control page displays the weapon settings as set in the current profile. You can alter the settings along the left and right sides of the display. The settings in the profile table in the center of the display can also be changed, but from other pages. OSB 19 and 20 will cycle through the profiles without making them active. Let's try changing some of these settings for this profile. Looking at the right side of the display, you can see the current release quantity is set to single. This means that for each press of the weapon release button, only a single rocket will be fired. Let's change this to ripple single by pressing OSB 6 twice. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set. You can now set the ripple quantity to determine how many rockets will be fired while the weapon release button is held down. For example, to set the quantity to 3, press button 3 on the UFC, and then OSB 8 to enter the value into the profile. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
So, als kleine Information zu hier. Die Eingabe kann man hier oben machen. Man kann jetzt zum Beispiel auf 5 wählen. Dann wird das hier unten im HUD angezeigt. Man sieht die 5. Und dann drückt man nur hier die Taste. Das ist auf 5 geändert. Was passieren kann, ist, dass wenn man zu schnell klickt, wie zum Beispiel jetzt, nichts passiert. Dann zeigt er auch hier an, Input Error, beziehungsweise auch hier drüben, Input Error. Um das zu löschen, klickt man einfach wieder auf Clear, das ist wie die Tastatur, quasi wie die Entferntaste, und man kann das Ganze nochmal neu eingeben. Also in dem Fall Nummer 3 und dann hier 3 und dann wird das übernommen.
Additional options on this page include OSB 10 to set the default HUD mode and OSB 18 to paste current profile settings into a new profile. Press OSB 16 to enter the profile settings subpage to access additional settings underlined in the data table of the display. You can now see additional profile settings. On the left side of the display, these include the escape maneuver, desired time of flight, and minimum altitude. On the right side of the display, you can set the horizontal offset, vertical offset, weapon eject velocity, and bomb rack delay. Press OSB 3 to save the changes to this profile. We are now back on the profile main page. Just as we did for the WTU profile, we could select and edit any of the other profiles. Press OSB 1 to return to the DSMS status page. Profiles can also be accessed in manual mode by selecting stations via OSBs directly on the status page. Multiple stations can be selected if they are loaded with identical weapons, launchers, and profile settings. Press OSB 7 and 19 to select stations 4 and 8 loaded with BRU racks. Note the additional profile information in the center of the display. Also, the profile name on the HUD now begins with an M/ to indicate manual mode. Profile operations in manual mode are identical to default profiles, but the profile is standalone and cannot be cycled to unless it is saved into the DSMS. Pressing the profile OSB 1 while in manual mode will open the profile control page directly. Let's take a look at the profile settings available for bomb release. Bomb profiles include the additional option of the view settings with OSB 7. This can be cycled between nose for nose fusing, tail for tails fusing, and NT for nose and tail fusing. Press OSB 6 twice to change the release setting to ripple single as we did earlier for rockets. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set. With bomb release set to a ripple setting, you can also adjust the ripple quantity and impact separation in feet. Let's change the impact separation to 150
Infield
feet.
1 is RTB at
Type in
1,600.
150 into the HUD scratch pad using the UFC, and then press OSB 9 to enter the value into the DSMS. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
Also wie im vorigen Vorgang quasi wieder hier die Höhe eingeben. Man sieht hier unten die 150 und dann wieder bestätigen und dann wird das übernommen.
Now save the changes with OSB 3. Press OSB 1 to return to the DSMS status page. Next, let's take a look at the missile control page accessed by pressing OSB 2 from the status page. The missile control page is used to configure the AGM-TGM-65 and AIM-9 missiles. We'll discuss the Maverick missiles first. OSB 4 enables and disables power to the Maverick seeker head. Whenever the seeker head is activated, it will need 3 minutes to align, so this should be done prior to entering the target area. Once activated, an EO timer is displayed in the bottom right corner of the display. You can try pressing the button now, but note that in training mode, the DSMS will not actually power up the seeker. OSB 5 selects between manual, location, and time modes of applying EO power. In manual mode, the seeker head is only powered by the pilot pressing the EO power OSB. In location mode, the seeker head is powered at a set range and bearing from a specified waypoint. In time mode, the seeker head is powered at a specific clock time. Press OSB 5 to set the location automatic power function. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set. Configuring the location automatic power on function requires a few steps. First, select the waypoint rotary by pressing OSB 9. You should see the up-down rotary arrows on the OSB become highlighted. Now press the function button on the UFC, indicated by the F adjacent to the UFC scratch pad on the HUD, and press the select rocker up to cycle to the next waypoint. You will see the waypoint number change on the missile control page. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
Sorry, vergiss den Taste zu drücken.
Now to enter bearing and range, type in a bearing value in the UFC, for example 065, and press OSB 7. Then type in a range value, for example 20, followed by OSB 8. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
Und Nummer 20 hier drüben.
EO power will now be applied to the Maverick automatically as you approach 20 nautical miles at bearing 065 from the designated waypoint. The diameter of the activation point is 10 nautical miles or 25% of the set range from the waypoint, whichever is greater. When set to time mode, the time EO power function on OSB 10 is used to enter a clock time value in a similar fashion as we entered the bearing and range information for location mode. The Maverick bore sight adjust function on OSB 6 is used to set the bore sight position of the missile seeker. On the left side of the display, OSB 19 is a rotary function to set the AIM-9 missiles to off, cool, and select modes. When set to select, the HUD mode changes to air-to-air. Press OSB 1 again to return to the DSMS status page. Next, we'll take a look at the Jettison Select page. Press OSB 4. The Jettison Select page is similar to the status page, except you are now selecting stores to jettison. OSB 4 is a rotary function to select between fuse options. OSB 5 is a rotary to select between the following jettison modes. STR, store. When in STR mode, the user can jettison stores from one or more selected stations. Stores are released in pairs mode. Rack, station rack. When in rack mode, the user can select one or multiple stations that have racks assigned to them and jettison them along with any stores attached to them. If more than one station is selected that is assigned a rack, then they are released in paired mode. A rack or pair of racks is jettisoned with each press of the weapon release button. MSL, missile. In this mode, any Maverick assigned to an LAU-88 tier will be launched in an unguided, unarmed mode with each depression of the weapon release button. If both tiers are selected, Mavericks will be launched in pairs. MSL jettison is not available for the LAU-117. If a station is selected that is not loaded with the LAU-88 and Maverick, only the station number will be displayed in reverse video. When you are ready, press OSB 1 to return to the status page. For our last topic of the lesson, let's enter the inventory select page with OSB 5. The primary function of the inventory page is to allow you to assign a particular weapon to a specified weapon station. This allows you to correct an error when the weapon type does not match the one specified in the profile, and it allows you to set additional weapon settings not available in the profile settings page. It also allows you to create virtual payloads in training mode. Outside of a malfunction that produces an error, you should not have a need to access this page in normal operations, because the DTS cartridge will include all the default profiles for the weapons loaded on the jet. However, we'll try setting up one station as an example. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready. We'll reset the Maverick on Station 3. First, press OSB 18 to select the station. Now press OSB 18 again to select Missile as the weapon class. And now you can select the specific missile model loaded. Notice also you can select between missile types with OSB 4, missile quantity with OSB 5, and launcher configuration with OSB 8. Press OSB 18 once more to select AGM-65D. Let's return to the status page with OSB 1. This concludes the training lesson on the Digital Stores Management System.
Damit waren wir jetzt am Ende der Stunde. Wie ihr bei den Umstellungsmöglichkeiten gesehen habt, gab es ein kleines Problem mit dem Klicken. Ihr müsst jetzt hier in dem Tutorial wirklich auch auf diese Tasten, ja, hämmern kann man ja nicht sagen, aber wirklich die Maus richtig lange gedrückt halten, damit das auch angenommen wird, teilweise. Wie gesagt, manchmal reicht das, wenn man nur so macht hier. Manchmal braucht es aber auch wirklich so einen etwas längeren Klick. So, damit beenden wir hier die Stunde. So, wir haben jetzt diesen, ich sage mal, etwas langweiligen Teil hinter uns gebracht. In der nächsten Mission beschäftigen wir uns dann mit dem Zielbehälter für die Angriff auf dem Bootziel. Und da bin ich mal gespannt, ob das etwas besser läuft, nach den kleinen Problemen, die wir jetzt in der vorhergehenden Mission hatten mit den Tastendrücken. Aber lasst euch davon nicht anstrengen, das passiert ab und zu mal. Das ist auch nur in den Trainingsmissionen, soweit das geskriptete, mehr oder weniger geskriptete Events sind. Zum digitalen Storage-System werde ich nochmal die Seiten aus dem Flughandbuch mit in die Videobeschreibung stecken. Ich freue mich dann auf die nächste Folge und wir sehen uns im Cockpit.